Hello, World of Tank Blitzers. It's Littlefinger. Today, doing a full tank review on the Sherman Firefly, seen here in the garage. This is a British Tier 6 medium tank. It's got an amazing gun on it. The tank itself is mediocre as far as it comes to mobility and armor, but this gun more than makes up for it. Looking at the tech tree, you'll see here we are down at the bottom on the newly introduced line of light and medium tanks. So we've just come through the Sherman 5 to the Sherman Firefly. Only one path from here is through the Comet to the FV4202. It kind of starts that trend of these tanks with really good guns and highly accurate, but not a lot of damage. So taking a look here at the characteristics, you can see here shot effectiveness 62%. We've got 960 hit points. Hull armor on the front, 51, 38 on the sides. Turret armor, 63 on the front, 51 on the sides. Comes in at 33 tons. We've got a top speed limit there of 48 and our traverse speed of 52. Our turret traverse speed is only 46. Some of the other mediums are mid 50s, so that's a little bit below, some of the better medium tanks in that regard. But where this tank really shines, 12 rounds per minute, and you're doing about 150, 160 damage per shot. So penetration numbers 170, really good, and that's what kind of makes this tank stand out in my opinion. Looking at real quick, got the Camouflage here being the heroic warrior, which was free from participating in clan wars. I'm running repair kit, multi-purpose, and adrenaline. Running pudding and tea, protective kit, and improved fuel. Ammunition here, 45 rounds of AP, 17 rounds of APCR. Just remember you can purchase that with credits over gold by clicking on the shell price button. 15 rounds of HE, which I don't think I ever used. Equipment, tier 6 tank. This is not a tank that you're really going to see in tournament play, so don't recommend spending spare parts outside of the tier 1 here. So I'm running that gun rammer to get that rate of fire up just a little bit more to 12.2. Like I said, those penetration numbers at 170 is really good already, and you don't need that. So gun rammer it is. Improved modules, I am running defense system, which obviously here helps with your reducing chances to engine damage, crew injury, and ammo rack. And then improved optics gets our view range up to 275. It's kind of standard for me here. Wouldn't spend spare parts, but it'd really be a toss-up. The aim time on this gun is already really good. So you might want to go with that increased shell velocity, which is on the low side for this tier. If you want to go with enhanced armor, this will be my last choice on tier 2, and then would probably go with engine accelerator just so you get that faster start, can climb hills a little bit easier. But I'll get into it a little bit better. This tank's really not made for fighting on hills like most of the British tanks because it's only got 6 degrees of gun depression. Then I would run the vertical stabilizer, and like I said, this is a toss-up between these last ones there. That's up to you. Alright, so here we are on blitzstars.com using the tank compare. Got the Sherman Firefly on the left here, and tried to pick out other mediums similar in nature to this 17-pounder gun. The Type 58's got the 85 millimeter. The rest have the 75 or 76 millimeter gun. And you can see we are right near the top when it comes to damage per minute. And keep in mind, this is without any rammers or equipment. This is just standard damage per minute. So at 1843, you know, we've got about a 10% over the advantage over the Type 58, and only 1% difference between the Cromwell and the Sherman. So our penetration is 171, and that is far and away better than the rest of these tanks, which range from 10 to 25% worse. So and on top of that, our damage, our alpha 160 is right in line with these tanks. So you've got great damage per minute, you've got great penetration numbers, which obviously comes from a very high rate of fire. Shell velocity at 884, it is pretty good. Obviously it's not the best there, but no issues in game with shell velocity. And then we move down to weapon handling. We look at that aim time, 1.9, which is best in class. We look at the dispersion at 0.317, again best in class. Our dispersion on movement, best in class. The only downside to this gun is the 6 degrees of gun depression. And that's certainly workable. You can work around that. You just have to change a little bit your play style and where you go on some of these maps and stick to flatter terrains. Moving on down to movement and mobility, we see here we come in at 48 kilometers per hour, which is on the low side for these medium tanks. You see the Cromwell up there at 64 and the VK3001D at 56. So we are penalized for having a good gun a little bit with a little bit less mobility. What's nice is we have a good terrain resistance, so we have a fairly decent effective horsepower per ton ratio of 17.4. So you're going to notice that it's not too bad when you're climbing hills or when you're starting from zero, so to speak. Moving on down here, like we said before, 960 hit points is towards the bottom, and compile that with the hull armor and turret armor. You can see here a lot of green on the other side, meaning that those tanks were all better. So our hull armor at 51 is only best in, we're only better than the Type 58. And then our turret armor at 64 is the worst in class. So keep that in mind. This is very much a peek-a-boom type of tank where you want to look at what your opponent's doing after they shoot. Then you step out, you shoot, you back up. You can see here, it's kind of interesting to me that it doesn't fare as well as I would have thought to some of the other tanks, especially in the win rate there of 55. I would have thought it'd probably be the best in class because I really love this tank. Average kills down there is less than 1, which surprises me also. And I can see a survival rate of only 35%. Like I said, this armor's not doing you any favor, so make sure you keep that in mind when you're playing these games. So let's take a look and see if we can't show a few tips and tricks on how to play this tank a little bit better in game. Alright guys, so here's the first game on Naval Frontier bottom tier. You just got 2 tier 7s in this game, and one of the things I like to do on Naval Frontier is to push into the middle here. There's obviously a nice bush and these rocks, and if you notice, what I do is I don't do what that guy just did. I am not going to stick all the way out. These rocks are protecting us from the guys that do that on the other side over there. So we don't want to stick out too far. And what we're doing is we're hoping we can get some spots of the guys going to their right, our left on this map. But since they haven't shown that way, my guess is they might be headed to the high ground. So this guy has been way too eager from the start. We kind of pointed that out. He's going to get out of there. Now we're just going to find some cover and look for weaknesses in in their positioning, and you can see a lot of them are all on the high ground. So I'm going to come around through this hill area here and see if we can't get these guys looking the other way. So I've got an IS behind me. There's an SU looking right at us, so not going to pull up. IS is just shot, so we're going to back up here, and we're going to get our shot in and drive forward and get out of there before he can reload. See that Sherman Firefly over there? He's flanking hard. I figure he's going solo, so want to get on him if I can. He gets around the corner before I can get to him. Get a nice shot in there, a very small target on that T-37 to finish him off. And we're just kind of keeping this guy spotted at this point in time. Got a good angle on this tank here. Doubt he's going to shoot. And that VK has gone around and is being super aggressive. And I'm going to try to tell him to back off, and I'm right behind him. Looks like he got tracked in that first one. Our first shot sets him on fire. I'm trying to get in front of him just to protect the VK for 1 or 2 more shots. And now at this point, I just want to use his dead carcass for protection. And this is about time I start getting shot from behind. So I'm going to push hard, knowing that there's a tank behind me. And I'm going to then turn and face that oncoming tank. So I have more protection in front of me. He's going to ram me there. And you can see just how fast this tank reloads. And if you get into a situation like this, get up close, get real close to their turret, and just go back and forth if you can. Obviously I had help there behind me, and we finished him off. We now have 2 kills but only 77 hit points left. They've only got 2 tanks left. T-25 AT is pushing through. We get a shot luckily into his tracks, but he's headed this way, so we're kind of in the crosshairs here. We don't have much longer to live. Get 1 shot in on the Type and 58, and he gets finished off. So we'll speed it up here. 3-on-1. This IS does a good job just staying beside the AT there. So yeah, we ended up with 2341 in damage, 2 kills, good for level 1 mastery, top of the team in damage, 14 shots landed there. Alright, second game, Falls Creek, bottom tier again, and just looking at the makeup of their team, IS, Tiger, they've got a lot of heavy, so I'm expecting them to push the bridge. When that happens, when I think, you know, I'm making a gut decision here that I'll push through the middle of town here just to get some spots up early. And sure enough, the sentinel there is headed towards the bridge. Obviously, we want to clear this cap area because you can get spotted from the bridge there like I just did. And we'll get 1 shot in, and it looks like he's getting pushed. Unfortunately, that shot didn't do any damage. That was kind of a dick move. But anyway. So we're just checking out the situation. Don't want to rush in too soon. Would imagine that they are all focused on the bridge at this point in time. So we'll push in a little bit closer. And there's the WZ Blaze, and just enough gun depression to get a shot in on him and back down. Now he's going to relocate, and just can't get that gun depression down enough. So they've got a couple more guys now, and they've turned and they're protecting this ridge line. And I'm just seeing what I can do to spot and kind of just be a little bit of a disturbance, really. Tiger's just shot. And that's something you really want to try to pay attention to whenever you can. Blaze has gone off on his own here, pushed too far. Unfortunately, we don't reload in time to get the kill in. Now, Tiger here is doing a horrible job with his armor. He has turned sideways to me. He needs to be angled. He needs to have that gun over the corner of front of that tank to make it a little bit more difficult for me to penetrate. And you can see now it's 3-on-3. They've pushed. The heavies have pushed, that is. And just trying to get as much damage in as possible. A little bit disappointed that shot missed. That shot doesn't go in either. And we're just going to focus on the low health tank here. But the Kuro shoots us and pushes us back. And now we've got an IS coming in on us. So we're going to do our darndest to stay away from him. And now we're just keeping an eye on where that IS is and where this Kuro is. He's coming at me. We get another shot through there. Luckily that one bounces. And we finish him off just as the IS is coming around. So we're able to make this a 2-on-1 game. And, you know, this is a player that probably could use some time watching some videos on how to be a better player. You've got an IS that's obviously just shot me, and he is playing it very cautious, and on top of that, he's playing his tank sideways. And armor's on the front, you know, and he's got all the hit points. He could go in there and he could trade hit points with that IS and end out on top. Luckily, our AMX is aggressive and he gets him distracted, while the type here, I don't know, still messing around. Finally gets it done amazingly, which is why you want to stay alive in these games as long as possible, because you never know who's left on your team. But even still, with that being said, we get a level 1 mastery. We do 22-28 in damage as bottom tier. Alright, so one more game here is bottom tier, and I apologize to any of you that have already watched this game. I did throw this up last week just because it was just an exceptionally good game. Again, bottom tier, Supremacy this time, and I'm expecting their team to push hard into C, so we're playing cautiously here. And you can see this gun's accuracy with this shot here. And now that A is moving up, I figured their team has split, so we can try to push into C a little bit. With only 6 degrees of gun depression, you can't play this ridge line here. You need a tank with 8 or 10 degrees, really. But I feel pretty confident that we can cap this out, and I've got some support coming around the side, so we'll get ready to cap this and then start dishing out the damage. And as you can see, there is a brawl right now for the B cap. We had a guy go in there early. He is probably now dead. And so we're just going to stay in this little area, this pocket area here, and try to dish out as much damage as we can. MT25's in trouble, so I wanted to get him out of the game. Always focusing on low health tanks whenever possible. And get shot here from the side. So we got the IS. That wasn't who shot me because I only lost 200 damage on that. You can see that shot there on the move. I'm going to relocate behind those rocks just so that those campers on that side can't get shots in on me. This is E25 is YOLOing straight up. He's shooting in the tracks. Going to drop adrenaline just because I know he's got a high rate of fire. He could have turned towards me and you know, it would have been probably a pretty close race as to who would have finished each other off there. But he's just drunk driving around. So we get him finished off. It's back to a 4-on-4 game. But they've got 2 caps and they've got base points. So we got to get kills. So I've noticed here, looks like the Nashorn is headed our way. See the Bulldog coming around, so I want to get one more shot at least onto the 3485 there. I think that's what that was. Nashorn's coming at us, gets us one shot, 200 hit points. We're going to load HE and shoot at the side, 219. And we get a lucky bounce there with only 29 hit points. Any shot and I'm a goner. We get one shot here as he goes around. I've switched back to AP just because I want every shot to be max damage. One more in there and he misses his shot. Gonna get another shot in here. I was hoping I would have gun depression enough to get that shot as I was climbing the hill, but I don't, and I'm going to get away. They're at 915 on the cap, 920. We need kills. And this IS is hungry for a kill and paying me no attention. And we end up finishing him off and coming back in that game. And remember, bottom tier, we ended up doing 3,400 damage in this game. And you just see with this tank pumping it out with such a high rate of fire. You know, I was surprised at that. I was thinking maybe high 2000s or something, but you can see here we got damage into all 7 tanks, and just an all-around fun game there. Okay, so bottom tier again, Dynasty Pearl, Supremacy, and just trying to figure out which way this team is going. And one of the things I like to do is kind of come in between the middle of B and C here and use some of these ridge lines. I'm spotted, so I'm going to back down here. Just kind of see how they're unfolding and location wise there. Not enough time to switch over to HE on that shot. Really should have had my ammo bar open so I could have switched over. Probably could have got another 70 or so hit points there just by switching over. You can see this gun depression. I actually had to back down the hill there because the top of the hill is a little bit steeper. And he is not paying any attention whatsoever. So I figure I can get another shot in here and aim just a little bit too low. VK's on the hill there. We'll get a shot into him. You can see even with these tanks and their sloped armor and everything, we're not having any trouble penetrating. Really haven't shown too many bounce shots, and every single game I've shown here is been as bottom tier. So I just wanted to get in there and reset cap. Was willing to trade a hit point or two. And you know, just kind of backing behind this T-150. Unfortunately, I can't reload in time to finish him off before he gets our T-150 out. So this guy has managed to cap. But we've got the hit points. We're up 2 tanks here, and you can see just how quickly we can get the damage out. And That's something right there. Pushed him up against the wall, made it difficult for him to get away. And I realize that they're going to kill this guy here for the final kill of the game. But it's a nice little spot there. Keeps you involved in the game. And you can flex either way. So 1980 in damage, top on the team, even though we were bottom tier again. And we ended up doing 13 shots there. Looks like we've damaged 6 of the 7 tanks. Alright, here's another game, this time on mines. We are bottom tier again. You can see we don't have any TDs. And I think it's a good idea to have at least one tank back here in this typical camping spot, just to provide some support for those guys that are going hill, so that these guys don't think it's okay to rush over the hill. So I've kind of chosen this spot because you've got a nice angle up to the corner of the hill, the mine hill there. But you can see they have not pushed up there, and they've pushed a couple guys down. So now we get a chance just to see how well this tank snipes. And I would say, you know, this is a good sniping tank for sure with its accuracy. You know, that Tiger 1 there, we penetrated both times. Obviously there's a rock there, so we can't get shots into him. And you see here, we'll even predict that this guy's going to come out and get a shot on the other side of that rock there. So yeah, that was a VK, not a Tiger. But anyway, you see the base cap is at 44, 45. So I am going to, in essence here, sacrifice myself in this game for the effort to reset cap here. And I just want you to watch how I do this. I don't just YOLO straight into it and get destroyed here. I'm going to take that first shot, and then I'm going to get a second shot in real quick before he turns, and I'm going to hide behind this bush, or the building I should say. And I was thinking that KV was looking elsewhere, and we managed to penetrate even on the front there. Really from the front, the only penetrable spots there on the side of the cheeks. So what we're going to do is we're going to back up, and basically we have caused a distraction. We've reset the cap to 38, and we've given our team time to basically clean up on the other side of the map. And I'm still alive because I didn't YOLO into 2 heavies sitting in cap. And so I'm hoping I get one shot. There we go. He comes in and back behind the building again. Obviously going to be distracted, but I'm not going to push all the way through without knowing where that KV's aimed. And sure enough, he's aimed at me. I wait for him to start taking some shots. Now he's going to be turning towards those, and we get the kill. So we're rewarded there in a sense. We get a kill shot in. We don't do a lot of damage, just 1271 in damage on this game. But obviously we are a base defender there for setting the base down, resetting cap. So anyway, as you can see, all of those games were as bottom tier. We didn't have much damage penetrating. That's because this gun on this tank is just absolutely one of the best for the mediums at this tier. I think it's a lot of fun to play, but keep in mind you don't have much armor. You have to use your mobility, and you have to be map aware and look at where the other guys are aiming, looking to see if they've shot, and then you can take your chances and peek out, take a shot, and pull back in. So with that being said, hopefully you guys have learned a few little tricks on how to play this tank a little bit better, and appreciate you guys subscribing if you like the channel. And as always, have fun out there, stay safe, get educated, not fingered. Littlefinger out.